Mr. Chair, we are now live.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Inuit, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory.
Excuse me, before you continue, we don't have anybody else there's no applicants in the boardroom at all?
Not in the boardroom.
There's nobody online.
Not yet.
There's nobody online either.
No, there is an applicant online in the waiting room.
But shouldn't he be in to hear this?
Applicants are usually introduced once their item arrives in the docket. They follow along.
Okay, all right. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So I'm introducing the members of the panel this morning, the secretary to the board and the assessor. Panel members joining me this morning via Zoom are Harvey Diamond and Diane Knight. Myself, I'll be chairing the meeting. My name is Mike Caldruglio. From the assessment department, we have Jamie Fougere, and the administrative personnel this morning is Elizabeth Dawson. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of property are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by council and is independent of it and city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decision with respect to application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to Court of King's Bench if matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed, with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony, followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all evidence about the application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We'll be hearing items 1, 2, 5, 8, and 9 on our docket today. Ms. Donaldson, please affirm the assessors and the applicant's testimony, please.
Please stand. Mr. Assessor, would you please state your full name?
Jamie Fougere.
Do you affirm the evidence you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
And it appears that we have items 1 and 2. We have no applicant present. So we will move on to item number 5, being 262 Portage Avenue. So if you could swear in the applicant, please.
Mr. Reimer, would you please state your full name?
Harry Ralph Reimer.
Do you affirm the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Morning, Mr. Reimer.
Morning.
Mr. Fouger, do we have a presentation for us this morning?
We do, so I can get
Sorry,
started.
sorry,
There we
Mr.
go.
Chairman. Which
Sorry.
property are we on? I missed the first part. I just got
Oh.
let in.
Okay, we're doing 262 Portage Avenue, sir.
Thank you.
You're good?
I'm good.
Awesome. Mr. Foucher.
Alrighty, so the roll number here is 12093226100. The address is 262 Portage Avenue. And this is an older building, built 1901, 1902. You can see the property on page 2 of my brief. So it looks as though it's 2 buildings, just to point out the span of the building here on page 2 includes the Dominion News building as well as the one that you can see it says Bar Red Sea. So it is both of those buildings that are sandwiched together. So I have my comparables for the property on page 4 of my brief. They range from a low at 234 Main Street, which is near the bottom here, $9. This is a sort of a rock venue kind of lounge type of comparable. And it goes up as high as 2453, which is a nightclub in a building sort of lower quality, I would say. So then going above the thick red line here, double line at 441 Main Street. Most of these comparables are second or third floor space. So the second comparable here, we have 232 Main Street, unit 209, $7. We have, I'm just gonna highlight a couple of them here. At 388 Donald Street, we have unit 226 at $9.59. So those are the type of ranges that we would hope to see for the second floor. I have inspected the property, not this cycle, but I can say that the units towards the front of the building, facing Portage Avenue, are in adequate condition, but the units towards the back, I would say, need some money put into them before they can be leased. And I tried to reflect that, or I think the assessment reflects that. If you want to turn to page 5 of my brief, I've included a little M beside 3 units. These are the 3 main floor units. And so they have a rental range from $968 up to $1496. Which is more reflective of you know, leasable space. One is a restaurant, and I think those are supported by the market. And then you can see we have the ones without the M are on the second floor, and they are quite low. And that's to recognize the quality of the second floor at this location is I would say subpar. So again, ranging from 364 up to 427. And because of this, and because of ongoing vacancy at the building, we've applied the maximum vacancy allowance that we apply, and that the municipal board recognizes as the upper end of vacancy. of 25%. And then we're using an 8.6 cap rate, which is fairly high. And I can say just having dealt with the property over time, the assessment really isn't aggressive and hasn't been sort of on this extreme trajectory and increasing assessment. And I came across anecdotally, I should say, I came across a couple of sales brochures for this property. Unfortunately, I came across them after I had prepared my brief and submitted it. So anecdotally, I can say that the property owner was asking for $1,575,000 for the property.
Mr. Chairman, I have to object to this evidence. It's with respect, it's not in the assessor's materials, and had I known it was going to be referenced and brought up, I certainly would have been prepared to meet those that evidence, but that's not the case here.
I appreciate the comment, Mr. Reimer. I believe that the evidence that he's putting in is as it is, it's verbal evidence. I don't think we can prevent him from putting that in, quite honestly, sir.
With respect, Mr. Chairman, I do not agree, because if the board's going to place any weight on the verbal evidence, then the impact, the prejudicial impact would be the same. And if I had known that Mr. Frugere was going to be referencing asking prices, certainly would have gone over some of those items with the owner, but I haven't been provided with the opportunity to do so. So, Mr. Chairman, if you're going to allow the evidence to be read in, I am requesting that it be given no weight in this case.
Mr. Reimer, I'm going to suggest to you we will weigh the evidence appropriately, and I do note your not wanting this to go in. So thank you very much, and we will go on, please.
So just suffice to say that the assessment is significantly lower than asking prices that have been put to the market. With that said, the income and expense statements are at the back of my brief, starting on page 9. And just to summarize, the assessed value is $885,000. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions at this time, Mr. Reimer?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Frugere, on your page 5, so the rents for the main floor spaces range from $968 to $1,496. It wasn't quite clear to me. Are those modeled rents then, or?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, and that's and similarly for the second floor to reflect the condition that you mentioned, which is significantly below average. So those are really more, if I were to hazard a guess, just looking at those numbers, those are more like storage rents, I'm assuming. Hey?
Right. With poorer quality.
Right. Right. And I would agree with you that capital, I believe you mentioned that capital would need to be put in for some of those units, correct, before they'd be considered leasable.
Right, which is intended to be reflected in the rental rates that you'd see maybe $7 to $9 or something more in that range for a building like this. I would expect.
Right.
But here we've recognized that some work needs to be done.
Right.
There are some of these units though that I would say that are ready to be leased as is from the previous inspection that I've done. However, we've treated the entire second floor that way.
Right, and you're of course aware that the efforts to market and lease those units along with the main floor units, since it went vacant, were unsuccessful as of the reference date.
Right, yes, there is significant vacancy with the property, and it's
right.
had trouble for several years.
Okay, and going to your page 11, and you referenced the income and expense mailer. Now, page 11, there's the income statement for the 2024 calendar year. It's showing a loss of 126,000, but that includes mortgage payment of 60,000. So just in very rough terms, removing the mortgage payment expense, this property had actually lost roughly $66,000 in 2024, just prior to the reference date, correct?
Right, correct.
Okay. Now, if we go back up just briefly to your page 5. So the capitalization rate of 8.6%, again, that's a modeled rate that presumably, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, presumably reflects the lower quality and condition of the building and age.
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, those are my questions in this case. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reimer, and I will move to Ms. Knight. Do you have any questions of the assessor at this time?
No, I do not.
Thank you very much. Mr. Diamond, do you have any questions of the assessor at this time?
Yes, I do. Mr. Foucher, you did indicate verbally that the property you noted had been offered for sale at a higher price than is indicated in the assessment. I guess the question I have is, how long has it been for sale? And has anybody purchased it yet?
There has not been a sale to my knowledge. That's come through land titles. The property was listed for sale, from what I've seen, in 2022. And I think I had mentioned the value there. And then it was listed in 2023 as well, with a slightly reduced value to that previously mentioned number. I have not seen any more recent listings. And as I said, I have not seen a sale come through land titles for it yet.
Okay.
So to me, just to think about that logically, is they weren't able to get a price or value that they were hoping to get on it, and maybe didn't want to let it go for less than that.
Okay, and possibly because maybe,
Speculation.
yeah, it's possible if they were asking less, it would have sold for a lesser price, but nobody's prepared to meet the price that they were asking, obviously.
Right.
And a person could ask any price, doesn't mean that it shows the value, because if they're over estimating what it's worth, there's not going to be any takers.
Right.
Okay, and we're really valuing this on the basis of the model, which is used an income approach in any event, not
Yeah,
not a sale price.
that's right.
Okay, that's my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Diamond. Mr. Fougere, just to clarify the point just a little bit further, it truly is irrelevant to the proceeding to what they are asking, because until that number is met in the marketplace, we don't have anything really
For sure.
to draw to. So that being said, and then the other thing that I'd like to just ask, you've shown 25% vacancy, which is the maximum vacancy the department allows, correct?
Right, correct.
And you feel that that is appropriate, and I believe Mr. Reimer seems to feel that seems to be appropriate. Is that correct, Mr. Reimer?
I am applying the same rate indeed, yeah.
Thank you very much. Those are my questions. Mr. Reimer, let's have your position, please, sir.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I just want to follow up on your comments of Mr. Diamond, and I will state categorically there was absolutely no interest at that asking price. I'm suggesting that certainly when one looks at the performance of this property, it's not surprising. And Mr. Diamond had expressed some of the concepts I had in mind extremely well, so I'm going to leave it with the board in that respect. Could we please turn to initially to my page 16 of our main brief, so our evidence in chief for this particular property. And Mr. Chairman, let me know when you're there.
Yes, thank you.
So you can see there we're also, of course, applying the income approach, and we agree on more parameters than we disagree. And so the differences in our respective valuations relate to two items. The first one being the potential net market rent to apply to the property. Ours is slightly lower at 139,000 relative to the assessor's model-driven rent of 157, and our capitalization rate is 9%. So again, somewhat higher than the department's modeled rate, recognizing the difficulties that this property is having, both due to the nature of the physical asset and the lack of demand in this particular area. So going back up then to page 13, we have detailed there the calculations of our potential net market rent on 139,224. Again, really there's of the difference between the department's rent and our own, a significant part of that is the main floor unit that was occupied by Dominion News. That's unit 262 on the chart at the bottom of page 13. We're applying a market rent of $8. I believe the department's market rent was it was $9.68. So actually there's a pretty, again, the differences aren't huge, but there's some difference there. And as you can see, then we're applying the net rents that were in place for units 266 and 268 being the two main floor units. And then we're applying rents in the range of $3 to $4 a square foot for the upper floor units, arriving at a total potential net market rent of $139,224. Dominion News had been located at the property, but they vacated in March of 22. They'd been paying, after deduction of gross lease costs, they'd been paying a net rent of $8.03 a square foot for that space, which we believe would be an appropriate indicator for that unit. We do have on page 14 at the top of the page, we do also have some rents. These are all main floor unit rents that we've applied or that we've presented, and they range from $8 to $17. Certainly, again, given the location quality and the rents that were being generated, which range between $9.21 and $14 a foot, and then applying that $8 rate for the Dominion News former space at the lower end, and the lower rents for that second floor space, then we are applying, based on all of those indicators, a net rent of $139,224. The property's been suffering, as Mr. Bourgier mentioned, and I had also alluded to, it's been suffering from substantial vacancies for some time. We are applying 25% as well in this particular case to reflect the vacancy. Shortfall and non-recovered expenses were aligned with those parameters, and capitalization rate then on page 15. We've and that I should correct that reference. If you can, Mr. Chairman and panel members and Mr. Bourgier, at the top of page 15, I should say, if you can stroke out the reference to Altus Group and just write in Ryan ULC, that was an error on my part. So we're attaching Ryan's capitalization rate study, and the low quality retail property ranges between 7.5 and 8.5. We are, or 8.5 plus. We are in this case applying actually a rate of 9%. We believe the risks inherent in this property were very, very evident as of the reference date with the vacancy and the poor revenue stream. And you can see, Mr. Chairman, the property performance was in very noticeable decline between 2021 and 24. In 2021, it actually generated positive cash at 48,176, but then in subsequent years, declined from there, and it actually operated at a loss, and a significant loss in 2024. So even an optimistic purchaser, I would suggest, would be placing a very significant premium on the income stream in this particular property, and we believe the 9% rate would be appropriate. So then on page 16, we have our income valuation based on that potential net market rent of $139,224, applying 25% for vacancy, and the 9 cap. We come in at a total assessment of $699,000. Mr. Chairman, could I then ask the board to refer to our capitalization rate study, which is was filed separately for all the properties to be heard this morning?
Sure.
And let me know when you're there. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I missed that.
Sorry, I have it. Mr. Diamond, do you, sir?
Yes, I do.
Where,
Ms. Knight?
where do we have it? Where do we have it?
It's the capitalization rate study provided by Ryan. It's a separate file.
Oh, all right. Then. Okay, I see it now. Yeah. It's just opening.
Hmm.
Are we there, Ms. Knight?
It's still coming. Sorry. Yeah, I've got it now.
Okay. Just checking. All right, Mr. Reimer, please, go ahead.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Could we initially turn to, and I'm going to assume for the moment that board members have had a chance, hopefully, to look at this. Some of it will look familiar, some of it will be, of course, updates for this new assessment cycle. So could we turn initially to page 4, please? Something I did want to draw to the board's attention. We talk about methodology and market data, and we do have a quote from the appraisal text, pardon me, that says at the top of page 4, the appraiser must make certain that the net operating income of each comparable property is calculated and estimated in the same way that the net operating income for the subject is estimated. And I'm going to explain why I'm drawing the board's attention to that. This does have an impact on a couple of the capitalization rate comparables that or analysis that we've performed. And I did want to ask that the board have that in mind as we go through this. I also want to, on page 5, please. Towards the bottom of that page, there's one item that I also wanted to draw the board's attention to, and the reason why will become clear shortly. But if you look at the second last sort of segment on that page, 5.6.2 multiple parcel sales, it says a multiple parcel sale is a transaction involving more than one parcel of real property. These transactions present special considerations and should be researched and analyzed prior to being used for valuation or ratio studies. I will explain why I actually have capitalization. One of our, or actually 2 of our capitalization rate listings involves multiple parcel sales, and I'm going to explain why, based on our own research and certainly the physical layout and such, why we concluded that would be absolutely no concerns, notwithstanding that they're assessed under more than one roll number. They are in fact operated as one economic unit and are in immediate proximity to each other. So I'll explain that shortly. If we go to then page 7, and again, I won't go through this in a lot of detail. This has some of the economic factors and so the national activity. We do have a chart there that looks at some of the sales volume and the number of transactions generally. And then at page 8, we have some of the financial information that indicates the 5 and 10-year Government of Canada bonds and the 5 and 10-year mortgage rates. And one would expect, in this graph or this chart shows it, that they are typically moving in sort of very similar trajectories as the mortgage rates rise, the bond yields rise, and conversely, as mortgage rates decline, so do the bond yields. So the chart is what we would expect. I do note then at the end of 2024, the mortgage rates were for 10-year were right in that 6% range, and for 5-year were just slightly lower. And that was slightly lower, but very, very similar to what it would have been in April of 23 if you reference that chart. On the next page, we've got a chart that talks about the national capitalization rates and the bond yields, and they're looking at sort of the spread between the two. On page 11 was that sort of general data. And again, it's going to look very familiar. It's just updated from a lot of the stuff we had in our cap rate study from last cycle. Starting on page 11 then, This is the information that we had prepared and have presented to this board concerning the retail environment. And certainly having come out of the pandemic, there's a few things that were happening. Obviously, the pandemic was extremely difficult for a number of industries, hospitality being one, but obviously also retail. When you've got the shutdowns and such, that presents a huge problem for a lot of retailers. What happened, of course, and the board members will remember this, the inflation grew rapidly in 21 and 22. The Bank of Canada stepped in and increased rates substantially. What the hope had been in the retail sector was, as these rates were finally coming down again after being raised very significantly and over a relatively short period of time, that there would be some stability in the retail sector. But if you go to page 12, then what the Canadian Chamber of Commerce had reported on consumer confidence, which was very, very poor, as I indicated there. It was the consumer confidence was actually at its lowest level outside of the pandemic, even lower than the financial crisis that had come about in 2008. And the impacts of the inflation and the rise in interest rates and the consumer confidence, the impacts on consumers is, of course, that spending would decline and big ticket purchases obviously would either be scrapped altogether or delayed. And we do have a chart at the bottom of page 12 that talks about what the impacts of that kind of climate would be with discretionary items like travel, entertainment, hobbies, and food and beverages at restaurants and bars declining. That's, of course, the discretionary items. With the non-discretionary items for housing, utilities, healthcare is shown there, then the consumer has little, if any, choice. But it will certainly impact the discretionary spending. Now, on page 13, another upshot of that entire period of time, starting when the interest rates had gone up significantly, is that the mortgage renewals that were coming up, that had already come up by the reference date and that were known to be coming shortly after in the near term, would, of course, cause further difficulties with folks that had their mortgages on a fixed rate that had been negotiated during that period of very low interest rates, and with the renewals coming up and substantially higher rates, that was projected to cause even more problems, as shown in the bottom of page 13. On page 14, there's an interesting statement. It talks about the bifurcation of retail, and in that was an Alta-Scoop article, and it said on the top of page 14, there's some commentary that says, prior to the internet, stores were only competing with neighboring stores, but now the market is noisier, they call it, than it's ever been, with competition online and offline. There's a bifurcation that they refer to whereby luxury and discount retailers like the dollar stores and such appear to be at a significant advantage, while the mid-tier retailers have to work harder, and it's the mid-tier retailers that have been shown to be the most impacted by some of these difficulties. On the bottom of page 14, this situation with the tariff war between January and March 25, that was just sort of starting to form. There was a lot of talk about it and a lot of concern that was being expressed. At the bottom of page 14, there's a quote from Blake's that says, looking at the developments and trends from 24, many sectors of the retail industry are in flux and continue to be buffeted by various challenges and headwinds, including a very different tariff landscape, increased regulations, persistent supply chain hurdles, and decreased consumer confidence. They also talk then on page 15 about indirect taxation and tariffs and some of the concerns that were just sort of coming to the fore based on President Trump's threats and some of his statements he made relative to the tariffs on this country. Insolvency, they referenced that, and they mentioned that retail insolvency filings had increased. On page, at the bottom of page 15, there was an investment, Simon Kutcher, an investment firm, had talked about the impact of tariffs on consumer spending, and it's consistent with what I had mentioned earlier. That consumers will cut back on discretionary spending, but will continue purchasing essentials, obviously. The price consumer sensitivity by category on page 16, it talks again about consumers being very careful and what some of the items that would be most impacted. They list a number of considerations: seeking promotions, switching brands, looking, for store brands that are cheaper, delaying non-essential purchasers, and preference for domestic products. In this case, made in the USA. The article is coming out of the States. So on page 17, then, in the Winnipeg retail market, we've got the chart that shows the retail neighborhood line being relevant to our discussion this morning as of Q1 25 was just over 7%. And again, that's a general stat shown on that chart. The averages on page 18 that are coming out from CBRE in Winnipeg is one of the bars on there, sort of consistent with a range of between 6.5 to 7.5. And then on page 19, I talk about the capitalization rate indicators in the chart that follows. So the transactions that we're seeing in April 21 to January of 22 are at that period of very low interest rates. We have, and this is very important, we've applied or calculated our rates based on the same methodology that we're using for the valuation for assessment purposes, so specifically the 3% of effective gross income. And importantly, we're also, where appropriate, we're applying a market rent for space where the contract rent appears to be either unrealistically high or unrealistic or not consistent with market because it's too low. So on page 20, there is our capitalization rate conclusions. The properties that you can see, indices 1 through 11, a number of various property codes with capitalization rates ranging from 6.11% for a property on St. Anne's Road in 2022 to a high of 9.13% for a regional shopping center on McPhillips Street. So the average and median are just over 7% at 7.14 and 7.04 respectively. In the following pages, 21 through 35, there's some the workups that we have used to calculate the capitalization rates, and some information on the various properties. I do want to now, I wanted to bring to the board's attention, so index 11, if you go back to page 20, recall, Mr. Chairman, I'd mentioned I made reference to the multi-property transactions and the guidance to use those transactions with caution, and that guidance makes absolutely perfect sense. If one's looking at a portfolio purchase, for instance, and this is typically with the big REITs and the larger investment funds, where they will buy a portfolio that's national in a number of different provinces, or even within a province in a number of different cities and towns and such. It's very difficult to, in those cases, arrive at a capitalization rate for each particular property, because essentially you've got different markets that are that the properties are situated in, and it makes that exercise quite difficult. Then, though, in the case of Index 11, this is a property that it was assessed under 3 roll numbers, but the assessment, the properties were adjacent to each other. The properties are obviously in the same very same exact physical area. They are properties that could just as easily have been assessed under a single roll number, but for historical reasons, they haven't been. So in that case, where the properties are operated, have been and are operated as a single economic unit, and they're immediate, sort of they're a cluster of properties that are immediately adjacent to each other, then in that case, the calculation of the capitalization rate for that mall, which is essentially a single mall, we do not have any concerns whatsoever with performing our calculations, just combining the roll numbers that are on that site. So with that said, then, if we go back, as I say, the top end of the range that we show on page 20 is 9.13%. If we go back then to our evidence in chief, at page 16, we've applied the 9% rate, again, reflecting the very poor and declining performance of the property, and respectfully request that the assessment be reduced to a value of $699,000. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reimer, and I believe I can safely say that the evidence that you've just given regarding your comparable items through the cap rates, except the analysis you just gave us, is going to be brought forward for all the rest of your properties today.
Indeed, yep.
Thank you. Mr. Fournier, please, questions at this time.
I don't have any questions right now.
Thank you very much. Mr. Diamond, questions at this time, sir?
I don't have any questions either, thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Knight, do you have questions?
No, sir.
Thank you very much.
No, sir.
Thank you very much. Mr. Reimer, I'm just curious, I mean, you've pointed at the cap rate on basically it's a Garden City shopping center, is that not?
We have to be cognizant of confidentiality, Mr. Chairman, but I'd suggest you're on the right track.
Sorry, I just know, but that particular roll number, sale that took place, is the only cap that you have at a 9+, and we're not talking apples and apples to the subject.
Yeah, I agree with
It's
you.
a bit of a
I agree.
A little bit of trouble here with that.
Yeah,
Now,
no,
and I appreciate your conundrum, just like the assessors. There isn't anything in the immediate area that you can draw to.
and again, Mr. Chairman, I agree with you 100%. It is not. I'm not suggesting that somehow that large regional mall in any way directly relates to this property. Just yeah, not. But what it does is it reflects what an investor, as of the reference date, some of the considerations investors had in mind when they're setting their ranges for the rate of return that they want. And so for that particular property, it was obviously on the high side. For some of the other very small properties, it was substantially less, as we show. But here's my thoughts, Mr. Chairman. So yeah, if Mr. Fougere or myself had a great transaction right in the central business district for this kind of building, we'd both be presenting it. It doesn't exist. But what I'm saying is, when you've got a property, and this is now going back to page 15, when the property is declining from even squeaking out an NOI that's at least above zero, that at its best point it was just under 50,000 in 21. But in the last fiscal year prior to the reference date, it's losing $65,000 a year. The reason for my 9%, it wasn't meant to be a direct reference, but it's because of that risk. And I would suggest that when you're losing that kind of money and given the demonstrated difficulties, it would be at the very upper end of the range, the general range we've submitted, which at the top end is 9.13.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say to you, but absolutely it's not.
Appreciated,
Yeah.
Mr. Ryman.
Yeah.
No question. And I do note that that one vacant location of 5,500 square feet seems to be the majority of the difference between your income points, between the 2 points, so we appreciate that being pointed out to us. Those are my questions. Thank you very much. Any summation at this point, Mr. Bourget?
No, thank you.
And Mr. Reimer, any final point?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. And with that, that concludes that particular item. We will move on to item number 8, I believe. That being 857 Portage Avenue. Mr. Fougere, can we have your presentation on that, please?
Sure. So as mentioned, the property's address is 857 Portage Avenue. The roll number is 130-308-24000. And the assessed value that we have is 1,258,000. And we do have a request to have the burden of proof placed on the applicant for non-cooperation. And
So maybe go through that and
Yeah.
then we will ask Mr. Reimer some questions and then maybe we will, not maybe, we will go on camera.
right. So you can see starting on my page, and actually let's go to page 3 of my brief. You can see 2023, which is not the one that we're concerned of. We sent out the letter and we received a response. However, in 2024, we sent out the letter April 8th, 2025, and did not receive a response. And you can see on page 9 of my brief, this is the mailing, the contents that were sent out. So page 9 is the sort of cover letter, and then page 10 it's in French, and then page 11 is the income and expense sheet, and certification page on page 12, and then tenant verification page on page 13, and another certification page on page 14. So that's my evidence on the request for non-cooperation penalties.
Thank you very much. Mr. Reimer, why has your client omitted his INE for 2024?
Mr. Chairman, I have asked that very question. I'm going to have. So actually, I'll take this. I'm just looking up an item. Okay. Mr. Chairman, I had filed rebuttal for this property, and I just want to draw the board's attention to one page for the moment. Madam Secretary, can you let me know when the rebuttal's been distributed?
Please.
The item should now be distributed.
I have it. Mr. Diamond, do you have it, sir?
I just got loaded and I have to go to it, so that would be what, let's see here.
Okay, Ms. Knight, do you have?
What
it?
number is that under?
It's
What
857
number?
Portage. And that's what it says, rebuttal evidence, assessor request for.
Yeah, I don't have that yet.
The file name should be 26-2229 applicant rebuttal.
Just a minute. Yeah, I got it now.
Awesome.
And I loaded,
It's just
refresh,
open.
I don't see it about. I might have to refresh again because it's not here.
Okay,
And I'll try again, hang on. Oh, but okay, rebuttal, it's just 3 days ago. Can't be it.
That would be when the file was last modified,
Yeah,
so that should be the file.
That should be it.
okay.
All right. Mr. Reimer, what page are you looking to draw our attention to?
Page 6, please.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, you had asked why a response was not provided for 2024, and I will tell you a couple of things. I've asked this owner that very question, and I have not yet been provided with an answer. So to that extent, I am going to say to you, I don't know. What I do want to draw to the board's attention, because there's different possibilities, but I did want to draw to the board's attention on page 6 that a reply has been sent in, as you can see there, every year except 2024. So while I may have,
With exception of 2018.
oh yes, indeed, you're right, not 2018. So for 2019 through to 2025, there's a total of 7 replies sent and 1 not. I do note in this case the address that is in Mr. Foucher's evidence as to the address to which this 24 mailer was sent is consistent with our records. So I'm going to be very transparent with that as well.
Thank you.
So I have nothing. To me, I believe it's extremely odd that this individual would not have supplied to that 1 year if they had received it, but I cannot state. It's conjecture on my part. So I will leave it in this particular case for the board's consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reimer, and we will go in camera to decide that. Oh, sorry.
I
Sir.
did just want to add something just for a point of clarification. I think 2018 was mentioned as not being received from the department. So there was a sale in 2019.
Oh, okay.
So that may explain
I'm
that
just,
particular year.
Mr. Reimer brought up a document. I looked at it, 2018.
For sure.
Has not said, so I don't know if there was a extenuating circumstances. You're saying potentially. No problem whatsoever. We will go in camera to decide what we will do with respect to the non-co-op. So, Ms. Donaldson, please.
Mr. Chair, I'll take some care. Yeah. Mr. Chair, we are now live.
Very much. The decision of the board regarding non-co-op that has been requested by the department has been granted. So Mr. Reimer, go ahead with your presentation on 857 Portage Avenue, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, we would simply request that the present 2027 assessment be confirmed under section 54(1) of the Act. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, with that, we will move on to the next property. And that would be item number 9. And that is 905 Portage Avenue. Mr. Fougere, please.
So as mentioned, 905 Portage Avenue is the next one here. The roll number is 13096097200. And again, we have a non-compliance preliminary matter here. And we are seeking the penalties to be applied. If you go to page 4 of my brief, you can see that they received and responded to the 2023 mailer. The 2024 mailer, we sent out the request letter April 8th, 2025, and did not receive a response. On page page 11 of my brief, this is where you typically would find the letter that was sent out. However, in my rush to create briefs, I evidently inserted the request letter for 857 Portage Avenue. So unfortunately, that is not helpful to the panel. But I did just want to acknowledge that that's what I've attached into my brief here. So we do have the letter, but it is not submitted in evidence.
All right. Mr. Reimer. And again, question is before, sir.
No, I appreciate Mr. Fougere's forthright approach here. So Mr. Fougere, just to confirm, there's no evidence in your materials as to where, if or where, you're saying it was sent, but there's no evidence as to where it was sent, correct?
Correct.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. That's my only question at this stage.
Thank you.
To that matter, though, they have responded in other years to our request. So to my knowledge, that's not an issue, but I just wanted to touch on that.
That's appreciated. If we need to go back in camera, please. So,
Mr. Chairman, I do have rebuttal in this case.
sorry, please go ahead.
Madam Secretary, can you let us know when it's been distributed?
Absolutely. Mr. Chair, panel members, this should be item 9, file 262758, 905 Portage Avenue, applicant rebuttal.
I have it. Mr. Diamond, do you have it, sir?
It's just downloaded. I'm just looking for it. Okay, I do have it.
Good. This night?
Not yet.
No worries.
Still don't have it. What's the file number?
Item 926-2758-905 Portage Avenue applicant rebuttal.
Yeah, I still don't have it, so just hang on a second.
Hmm.
I still don't have it. I just have that other one, and then the capital page
might
that
be
you
the
just
la-
spoke about. I don't have it.
It might be the last thing on the
Pardon
SharePoint.
me?
It might be the last thing on SharePoint.
At the very bottom?
I think so.
No.
There's 3 number 9s on my SharePoint.
Oh, that's where it is. Okay, it doesn't, okay, just a minute. Now I have it. I was looking for it where the other one was. Sorry.
My apologies.
It's just opening. And my internet is not very good up here today.
Apparently not, you're freezing quite a bit.
Got to do with all these. I know, it's got to do with all these clouds and this storm coming in.
Hmm,
Okay, now we're good.
all right. Mr. Ramro, what page are you looking to bring our attention?
So if we could go to page 2, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
So as you can appreciate, and the board members I know are all very experienced, they will understand when I say that every case relating to the request for the non-compliance penalties turns on its own facts. There's no one solution, and it all depends on the factual circumstances. And Mr. Chairman, I suggest very strongly in this case that the department's request for the penalties has to be denied as a matter of law. And there's a couple of reasons I say that. And before I get into the actual brief, I'll just summarize it. First of all, the department, the onus is on the department to prove, based on the evidence submitted, that the request was sent to the owner and that it made its way to the owner's attention. That's Litcherson. That's a Court of Appeal case that we're all, I'm sure, familiar with in Litcherson, where the court stated very clearly assessment and taxation has the onus of proving that, and they haven't done so in this case. And again, Mr. Pujero was very forthright in his statements. Secondly, even if this board were to find, in the absence of that evidence, that the request was sent to this owner, the owner, we've applied some information in this rebuttal that explicitly confirms that the owner didn't receive it. Tied into that, there's a section in the Act, a relatively recent amendment in the Act under section 64.1 that is a deeming provision. In that provision was the subject of a very thorough review undertaken by the municipal board at their request that involved submissions by the legal counsel for the city assessor and ourselves, Altus at the time, now Ryan, and Fillmore Riley with Mr. Mark Newman. So lengthy presentations were put to the municipal board, and they came out with a decision, a copy of which is attached to these materials. The upshot of that decision is section 64.1 is a section that presents a rebuttable presumption. It is not the whole debate in that case, as far as the legal principles to be reviewed and applied, was whether section 64.1 should be conclusive, in which case it applies, the deeming provision applies no matter what the factual circumstances are, or if it is rebuttable, which is the position that Altus Group / Ryan and Fillmore Riley took. The municipal board confirmed that the section 64.1 creates a rebuttable presumption. And they quote, I'll leave it with the board to read the decision. It's lengthy, but at the end of the day, the board stressed that the assessment system fundamentally is based on the rules of natural justice and fairness for the ratepayer, and that to hold that the Section 64.1 presents a conclusive presumption would not be consistent with the duty of fairness. So it was ruled to be a rebuttable presumption in that case, and in fact, based on the evidence submitted, they did find that the presumption was rebutted. In our case, I'm suggesting, Mr. Chairman, it's the very same legal principle that it's a rebuttable presumption, and we're presenting evidence that would rebut the presumption of receipt, and therefore confirm that the owner didn't in fact receive the questionnaire. So on page 2, this is where, and again, I'm not going to go through it because I've summarized it, but essentially paragraph 2, the Litchison case held that the assessor has the onus to prove that the questionnaire was sent and was made it to the owner, brought to the owner's attention. The facts were different. In that case, the questionnaire was sent to an agent. The owner had not indicated that that agent was authorized to receive the questionnaire on the owner's behalf, and the court found that, in fact, there had been no valid request made, and therefore the penalties would not apply in that case. In our case, the evidence submitted to this board actually confirms, or not confirms, but the evidence submitted indicates an address and a taxpayer that is not involved in this property. There's no evidence presented by the department that confirms where it was sent to, and as you'll hear from me shortly, in fact, it wasn't received by the owner wherever it had been sent. So starting at paragraph 4, which is at the bottom of page 2 and going into page 3, that's the discussion around section 64.1 and the fact that the municipal board has provided very clear guidance that this is a rebuttable presumption. In paragraph 6, I tried to summarize in a succinct way what they considered, and it's essentially what I presented, where the duty of fairness, the overriding requirement to treat a ratepayer fairly, and a liberal approach to the interpretation of the section leads to the conclusion that this is a rebuttable presumption and not a conclusive one. So my conclusions in this case, given the facts, are at paragraph 7 in A and B. Firstly, that there's no evidence on which the board could base could grant the penalty, because if the department's evidence doesn't show where the request was even sent, there's no evidence as to a valid request being made. But even if that were somehow presumed to be, the evidence was presumed to establish that in this particular case, the owner's been very clear with us that he didn't get it. So that then rebuts the presumption under section 64. If you go, and this is the key piece of evidence on page 6, this was an email that I sent to the owner, and I was very clear with him. I had the discussion with him. I asked him to review all of their records, to look for this request for 24 information for this property. They did so, and the reply at the top of page 6 from the owner states very explicitly, confirm we checked our records and don't have record of receipt of the assessor's request for 2020 information in our files for our property at 905 Portage. What happened was, when we were made aware of this issue, when Mr. Fougere filed their submissions, we were in touch with our client, and they actually then, at that point, being made aware of it, they asked their accountant to fill out the 2024 information, which I believe is done now. Obviously, it's well past the stated deadline, but they are still in good faith and within the legal requirements of 20 days. After it was received by them, they entered that information onto the assessor systems. So for our purposes, the key being that our client is stating very categorically, we didn't get it. So rebutting the presumption of receipt in section 64.1, and again, supporting the notion that the penalty should be denied in this case. For the board's reference on page 7, I again attached a copy of the RFI summary. It indicates since I guess it's 2016 through 2025, There are 2 years that it hadn't been sent in. One was in 2019, but again, the one that we're concerned with is for 2024. The owner's advice is consistent in this case with what I would have thought, because they have been diligent, and certainly they are attempting to be diligent with all of these requests, and are stating that they don't have record of receiving in 24. Subject to any questions, those are my comments, and would ask that the assessor's request in this particular case be denied. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rember. I do have a question, and it'll be directed to both the assessor and yourself, sir. With respect to the mailing address for the subject properties, bills, etc., has that changed in the last couple of years? Are you aware, gentlemen?
I'm not aware of any change, but I'm also not aware where that there's no evidence as to where it was sent. But as far as I know, the address has not changed for receipt of these things.
Okay. Mr. Fouger, can you add a little bit of color to this, please?
I'm just gonna double check.
I'm curious, and so I'd like to, if we can.
Yeah. Let me just see if I can bring it up here to confirm.
Mr. Chairman, while we're looking that up, I do, and given the nature of the question, I do want to point out some comments of the board relating to that very question. Could I ask the board members, and when Mr. Fouger is ready, to turn to page 29 of our rebuttal?
Okay.
Because of course, one of the suggestions we had is it's all well and good to, to have some evidence at least that it was sent, but at the end of the day, it also, the key concept in that case and also in this case is receipt. And so the fact that, Mr. Chairman, I'd suggest the fact that the address may not have changed, for our purposes, there'd be no inference that can be made from that, because if the inference going on the other side, first of all, they're saying outright, we didn't get it. And secondly, I'd suggest that inference with respect to any address changes would be offset by the evidence that's indicating they do respond typically every single year. And that's
I'm not doubting that. I'm just curious to see if in fact there was a change. The evidence is what it is. We will weigh that appropriately, I assure you. So, Mr. Boucher, do you know the answer to the question?
Yeah, so they were compliant in 2023. It had been sent to 905 Portage Avenue. 2024 was also sent to 905 Portage Avenue, as was 2025.
Okay.
And 2025 was responded to as well, which is post reference, but
I just wanted to understand if maybe there was some explanation. I've got my answer, so we will go in camera now.
Well, can I ask some questions, please, Mr.
Oh, certainly.
Mr.
Like, Mr. Diamond, please, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Rivers, I have some questions. I note that every year pretty well, they're pretty compliant. They miss one other year. So you're indicating that your position is that it wasn't received by them? Or that there's no proof, or there's no proof that it's been received by them?
Well, no, actually, it's the first scenario, Mr. Diamond. If you go to our page 6, the question I had from the owner is, please check your records. Do you have record of receipt? And he has said very explicitly, no, I don't have record of receiving it.
So that brings me to my next question. So they know that every year that they have to file this and that they receive something. So do you know why they didn't ask or inquire further why they didn't receive it this year?
No, actually, so Mr. Diamond, these people.
I'm asking the question, just yes or no.
No, I would like to give my thoughts on that. These people, because of course these people are business owners that are working in, obviously everyone's very busy and they're not focused on
And that's fair comment. That's fair comment, Mr. Rammer. But I guess the next question that brings me to is I know that this particular client of yours operates from, I think, 5 locations.
Yeah.
If they file for the other 4, and do you know if they did or not?
I didn't look at those other 4 locations, quite frankly. I would suggest that they've replied to everyone that they received for sure.
Okay, so
But I haven't looked specifically.
okay, so if they did file for the other 4, would they not ask the question, why didn't we get it for this 5th location?
The request wasn't made.
Well, I'm just asking because they got.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's just.
Or I shouldn't say that. The request wasn't received. Not that the request wasn't made. The request wasn't received.
Okay, that's your position. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Diamond. Ms. Knight, do you have any further questions?
Yeah, do we still get the, from the post office, do we still get that letter that states that it's gone out and who signed for it, who didn't sign for it, all that jazz?
They have,
We don't get that anymore?
no, we do not, Ms. Knight. Mr. Fougier, maybe you could add a little bit of comment to this, please?
Yeah, as far as I know, 2023 or 22 was the last year that we did that. So we no longer send registered mail requiring signatures that come with tracking. I can't speak to the department's decision for that, but my understanding is that was something that the department was doing above and beyond the requirement under the legislation.
So it's not that the post office doesn't send that anymore, it's that we're not sending it registered mail.
Right. And
Okay.
I think part of the issue, at least in part, was in a lot of cases, especially coming out of the COVID era, Canada Post wasn't collecting signatures.
Okay. Okay, that's, I was gonna ask the same as Mr. Diamond did, but we're good now. Thank you.
So I believe Mr. Reimer's position that talked about the municipal board decision on sorry, what was that piece of legislation?
64.1 is the
That
section.
was it, 64.1, that's been discussed and ordered by the municipal board, correct?
Yeah, as to whether it creates a conclusive or rebuttable presumption. And the
Perfect.
board ruled it was rebuttable. Yeah.
Thank you very much. All right. We will now go in camera, please.
Yes.
So we will be right back. Thank you. It's okay.
I keep waiting
Just
for
turn everything off. so.
yeah. Thanks.
Mr. Chair, we are now live.
Thank you very much. Mr. Reimer, we have, and then in this instance, the non-cooperation was requested. We are not granting that non-co-op request this morning for this item. So, Mr. Fougere, would you please continue with your presentation of 905 Portage, please?
Sure. So 905 Portage Avenue, I believe I read the roll number already.
Yes, you did.
And
Get to the areas maybe and effective ages, etc.
yeah, so I'll keep it brief here. Building built in 1951. Plan area of 8,925 square feet. You can see the property on page 2 and 3 of my brief. It is a food fair. And then I'm gonna just jump ahead to page 7 in my brief. I've been having discussions with Mr. Reimer, and I have a recommendation. So on page 7, you can see the original work up here. I was proposing a recommendation based on change to the rents. So for the main floor area, we have originally $16.09. I'm proposing to reduce it to $13.54. And then for the other two kind of auxiliary spaces here, we have basement and storage. I'm proposing $3 a square foot for the basement and $6.50 for the mezzanine.
So from $1.82.
That's right, $1.82 to $3,
Okay.
and $5.51 to $6.50. And that's for the,
$6.50.
yeah, and that's for the mezzanine space at 500 square feet.
And sorry, the 1609 was changed to what?
1609 was changed to 1354,
Thank you.
and that's the main floor area. And the rental rate that I'm applying. With these changes and no other changes, the value becomes $1,424,000.
$1,424,000.
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Reimer.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I can confirm we do agree with the suggested value of $1,424,000 and ask the board to order accordingly. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for going through that to come up with a solution to the problem. All right. So with that, that concludes item number 905 Portage. Thank you, Mr. Reimer, for coming up this morning. I appreciate the attendance and always your calm demeanor and information. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good morning.
Have a good morning, Kerry.
Good morning.
All right. Do we need a quick 5-minute break, guys?
Mr. Chair, I would like a 5-minute break if we could have one now. Maybe come back at what, 10:01 or 10:31 or 10.
That would be great. Yeah, around there. So we'll take a quick break and we will be right back.
Mr. Chair, I will take us in recess.
Thank you very much.
I'm okay. Thank you very much. So.
Mr. Chair, we are now live.
Thank you very much and welcome back. We have two items left on the docket. And the first one, or item number one, is 348 Hargrave Street. Mr. Fougere, could we have you read this in? And I believe you have a non-co-op, and I guess I'll ask before we get started. You haven't heard further from the agent or the owner here?
So I did contact the owner last week. And I reminded him of the hearing. I did inquire as to if he had anything to comment on the request for information that we did not have returned. He didn't have anything to say really.
Okay.
I believe he had an intention of attending and asking that the penalties not be applied.
Okay.
But
Ms. Donaldson, do we have any further contact from the owner in this instance?
No, Mr. Chair, you do not.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Mr. Fougere. What's happening?
So I don't think I've read the roll number in yet, right?
Yes, please go ahead.
So the address is 348 Hargrave Street and the roll number is 130-528-51000. And as mentioned, we are seeking the penalties for non-compliance. And on page 4 of my brief, we did not receive a response for 2023. The letter was sent out April 11th, 2024. And then for the year that's relevant here as the 2024 information year, that letter was sent out April 8th, 2025. And on page 11 of my brief, you can see the letter that was sent. Sorry, starting at page 10 of my brief. We have the cover letter on page 10, the French cover letter on page 11, income and expense questionnaire on page 12, and certification on page 13, tenant verification on page 14, and certification on page 15. And so just for comment here, this property and the next one on the docket are owned by the same people. And they are not compliant for 348 Hargrave or 356 Hargrave. And if it saves the panel any time, I can run through the circumstances in that case. Otherwise, if you want to keep them separate, I would understand.
I think for the sake of time, we can, because at this point, I think we can safely say because of the fact that the owner is A, not present, B, has not produced a brief, or let us know to any extent what their wishes are for this morning. I think we need to we can say we grant the non-co-op request, but since the owner is not here, we might as well just hear the evidence on this one. And I think we'll do the exact same thing on the next one from you because he's not here. So, Mr. Diamond, Ms. Knight, do you concur with those thoughts?
So my thought is that we will have to deal with the non-co-op and on both, but we can do so after, before we render a decision on it and not go in camera separately under those circumstances.
Afterwards, okay, that is fine. We can do that. So
Okay.
Let's have the presentation for this and you can skim through that at your leisure.
Sure. So Just starting on page 1 here, the subject 348 Hargrave was built between 1903 and 1959. The plan area is 3,001 square feet. And I'll just refer you to the property on page 2 of my brief. So the on page 2, the bottom picture here is I believe 2024's Google Street View. We didn't have a direct picture for 2024, but if you look at the third page of my brief, we have a direct view for 2018. And so 348, you can see I've labeled under the building here where you can see the mini mart is located. It's a 2-story building with some basement storage. 356 was purchased with 348. And that you can see on page 4 of my brief. That transaction happened July 2022. And the property was purchased for $800,000. And so that's the 2 buildings, 348 and 356. We are dealing with the buildings individually though. So together they sold for $800,000. But at the moment we were just looking solely at 348 Hargrave. And then you can see my comparables on page 5. You can see as is standard when you have the street address followed by further numbers, for example 232 Main Street, and then it says 209. That's an indication that that's on the 2nd floor. So if you have the additional unit numbers here, you can see that those are 2nd floor rents. And yeah, so a couple of main floor rents that you might look to is 234 Main Street. It's about 5th from the bottom. And that has a rental rate of $9. And then you can see on the higher end of the range, just below that is 258 Kennedy Street. It's a small diner, and that's at $18. And then if you want to turn to page 6 of my brief, we have the original assessment workup. So I would propose, I would recommend to reduce the value of this property using $15 for the main floor, which we originally had $16.21. So that's on the 1,499 square feet. Originally we had $16.21. I am proposing that we use $15. Then on the 2nd floor, so 1,391 square feet. I'm proposing that we use $10. And then finally, I'm proposing that we do not include the basement in the analysis in the workup here because it is of unfinished quality.
So the potential rent becomes.
So let's see if I have that. Yes, I should. So the potential rent becomes $36,395. And I have not changed any of the other parameters here. So if you wanted further breakdown with the vacancy and whatnot, I can provide that.
So what is the final number that you're going to suggest?
Final number is 438,000.
438.
Yeah, so going from 568 to 438.
All right,
And the cap is still 7.3.
Well, that's the final number, so.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Is the cap still 7.3?
Yes, that's right.
and none of the other parameters changed, guys.
So the total value of the property is 36,395.
So
Correct.
that's the potential rent.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
36,395.
Correct, yes.
Now, the individual calculations change slightly. Based on us changing.
Because everything else is going to change, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
But for brevity's sake, I can tell you.
That's fine.
Looking at
I'm
the final
fine.
number, it's
No, I think we're good.
438.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, then we'll just go quickly through questions. If you're done there, Mr. Fougere, yeah. This night, do you have any further questions?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Diamond, do you have any further questions, sir?
No, I don't. I think that Mr. Faucher explained it well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I think that there are no further questions from my perspective. Verbal rec for 438,000. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item number 2, which is 356 Hargrave Street. This has a non-co-op requested again, and this is the same owner as the one we just heard, so go ahead, Mr. Fougere.
Right, so I'll try to be quick walking us through it. So property is 356 Hargrave, roll number 1305-284-8000, and we're requesting penalties for the non-cooperation. And you can see on page 4 of my brief for 356 Hargrave, like 348 Hargrave. We've made the request for information 2023 for the information here in 2023. On April 11th, 2024, they were not responsive. And in 2024, they were the relevant year. We sent their request on April 8th, 2025, and did not receive a response. And you can see our request, our letter sent out. Page 10 of my brief is where it starts. The English cover letter. Page 11 is the French cover letter. And page 12, we have the income and expense questionnaire page. And you can see at the top, just to be clear, this is a separate request for 356 Hargrave Street specifically.
So,
And
sorry, that gets mailed to 348 Hargrave, even though it's 356 Hargrave?
no, yes, that is correct. Yeah, it looks as though, so I believe the owner, so his name is Emmanuel, and
Yes,
I believe Aman Convenience Store Limited is his company, and he runs that out of 348
okay.
Hargrave.
Making sure, I'm just making sure that the letter was correct, that's all.
Yeah.
Right, good, very good point.
Thank you.
And the letter continues on page 13 with the certification page. And the tenant verification page on page 14. And the corresponding certification for the tenant verification page on page 15 of my brief. And so we are requesting that the penalties be applied here as well.
So as far as the valuation side of it, do you have a little a verbal rec on this also, sir?
I do. So I'll walk you through that. Again, 356 Hargrave. This one is a little bit newer, built in 1948. Similar plan area, sorry. I think I read the land area on the last file, but plan area is similar as well. 1462 square feet. And I will bring you to again, same comparables, a very similar property. This one does not have a basement, but on page 6, you can see the original assessment. We had applied 1745 on the first premise that's listed here, which is 1,462 square feet. I'm proposing that we apply a rental rate of $15 for the main floor. And then on the second floor, we also have an area of 1,462. It's the second premise listed. And our original assessment had a rental rate of $13.80. I'm proposing we use $10 on the second floor. And I'm proposing that we use the same capitalization rate as next door and change that to 7.3. And no other changes beyond those are being recommended. Just for consistency, the potential rent for this one goes from $45,688 to $36,550.
All right,
And then the other change was the cap rate going from 7.15 to 7.3. And that gives us a value of $439,000.
439,000.
Correct.
All right,
That's my presentation.
thank you, Mr. Berger. Mr. Diamond, do you have any questions of the assessor at this time?
Again, I don't. I think Mr. Fortier again explained his rationale well, and I have no questions.
Thank you. Ms. Knight, any questions at this time?
No, no.
And I think I understand the position very clearly, so I thank you very much for bringing all this to our attention and for coming this morning. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
With that, we have heard all items scheduled and this hearing now is adjourned. So thank you very much, everyone. And we can go offline.
Mr. Chair, I'll take some.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, panel.
Thank you.